Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Brian. Today we're going to be starting our new theme for the week. This one is modern prog. Uh, I've been kind of informed that this is going to be more prog metal instead of prog rock, but we'll see what comes up throughout the week. Today we are starting with August Burns Red. We have requests coming in from Justin Bell and 13 Eternal. Justin specifically requested Speech Impediment. 13 Eternal said to check out Black Tongue if I'm looking for something heavy and slow, and I'll be honest, that's not exactly what I'm looking for today. I'm looking for something a little more proggier, maybe a little more upbeat. So we're going to see about the Speech Impediment song. Let's go. Really interesting cymbal work here. A little bit of a halftime going on here. Really interesting things going on rhythmically. Interesting riffing there on the guitars. Complete soundscape change twice in like 2 bars. Back to this. Yes. Okay, so that was really cool. They had a slight modification on the riff from the last one to transition into the next line. Just a really rhythmic breakdown here. Some fry harmonies. A little bit more melodic. Alright, use the last beat of the last section to transition to this one instead of giving the transition a full bar. Okay. So, Yeah, that's some interesting stuff. Um, I've actually heard music like that before, but I can't place it. To me, it's almost like I think I'm getting this right. It's like a proggier metalcore. Is that right? Um, it there are a couple of sections that remind me of early The Human Abstract, like first album, Nocturne kind of stuff. But there's also like some very typical post-hardcore, just kind of that straight, edgier rock stuff going on in there too. Um, it's kind of like this, I don't know, like progressive metalcore, I guess, progressive hardcore. Um, I don't know. That's probably what I would call it. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool experimentation going on in there. The vocals were fairly routine for the kind of music. I would have liked some cleans in there, or at least some variation to the way the fries were delivered. But I mean, it is what it is. It was also their first album, so I can't really fault them on that. I'd like to see where they've gone since then and kind of see how they've matured as a band because I see a lot of potential here. They don't really shy away from kind of, doing whatever. And I think if they could really harness that and combine that with the experience of releasing a couple albums and, writing, hundreds of songs, even the ones that get scrapped, hit the cutting room floor and stuff like that, just that experience of songwriting, I'd like to see what they can do when they mix that, after they've really honed in on who they are and what kind of music they write and knowing what works and what doesn't work. Because this is a solid song. I'm not trying to bash it at all, but there are a few parts in here that are a little rough around the edges, mostly to do with the. It's a very juddery song, and that could be intentional. But a lot of the times when I felt the rug was swept under me because they went a different direction in the riff or because they switched riffs in the middle of, a phrase or whatever. Some of these stranger transitions, some of them are just very harsh transitions. There was one section I mentioned. We were like in one section and then we were in another section that sounded totally different. Like the atmosphere was completely different. We were there for 2 bars, maybe tops, and then we were in another one. And I've said before, experimentation can work. I am not saying that there are rules to writing music and that what they did was bad form. But in this specific scenario, I don't really think it worked. There's just a lot of really harsh stops and starts as far as the musical phrasings go, and basically we just had a string of riffs that were smashed together, and if they transitioned well, great. If they didn't, whatever. And just a little bit of refinement and experience, I think, could have created a fantastic song out of this. Um, but yeah, they're very rhythmically oriented. There's a lot of really cool rhythms going on in here, and I just kind of called this, some criticism, but I also want to give some praise for this. Is their uh, willingness to smash musical phrases together, smash riffs together. Um, I sound like a hypocrite right now, but trust me on this. There are a couple of sections where they would have a a 2 or 4 bar phrase or something like that, and on bar 3 or whatever, the final bar would be something drastically different. Like it doesn't fit at all. And then it loops back to bar 1. And this is their musical phrase. It seems disjointed, but it is a riff. They play the same riff, repeatedly. This is the purpose of that riff, is to have that sharp, shift near the end of it. And I do think it works occasionally. I think they overused it, got oversaturated in the song. And like I said, I would have really liked to see some more melodic entries to really balance that out. I said that about the lyrics. I also see it in the music. It needs a little bit of balance to the chaos. But I do like that they're willing to experiment with that. Usually, you would have a musical phrase and it just makes sense, and maybe at the end you'd have a harsh transition to your next riff. But I like how they put those harsh transitions in the riff. It's like baked into it. The harsh transition is a characteristic of this riff. And that's really interesting. I can't say we've talked about that on this channel before. Um, here's something interesting though. I don't know if this was just a series of seemingly disjointed sections or if there was a pattern here. There was one time when I said, okay, we're back to that. But other than that, every section sounded unique. And that works occasionally. I'm not saying you can't ever do that, but there's a very strong case for theme and variation and for a song's identity. And this song doesn't seem to have an core, it doesn't seem to have a core identity to it. Um, Again, though, as usual, this is not a hard and fast rule. I'm not saying the song is bad because of it. I'm merely pointing it out. I would have liked a little bit of a string of identity that could tie everything together rather than it feeling so disjointed. But for all I know, the song is about being disjointed. So, as usual, context comes into play, and unfortunately, as a reaction channel, I don't always have all the context around it. Um, but I enjoyed this song, start to finish. There were a couple of parts that really had me smile. I really like the way that they can experiment with things and try things that are a bit outside the box. And overall, the sound, other than the singing style, like I said, I would have really liked just some variation to it, even if it was still fries and growls. Maybe just something that sounds a little different. It doesn't have to be cleans, but I don't know. The vocals just sounded samey, and maybe that's just because my ear isn't really trained to listen to maybe some of the more nuance in harsh vocals, but to me it just sounded like the same kind of screaming for the whole song, other than the couple of times he pulled out a guttural. Um, but yeah, from start to finish, I enjoyed the song and the sounds they were going for. Like I said, it reminds me of some of the Human Abstract's first songs, and I'm coming to understand that I might have some bias towards metalcore. A lot of the bands I enjoyed growing up are classified as metalcore. So this sound, not necessarily the chords, but just the overall tone and mixing and mastering and amp and effect pedals and all the combinations that create a sound similar to this is just pleasing to my ear. So I will probably be checking out more of this band, and like I said, they have a lot of potential. This was their first album. I'm really interested to see what they've done as they've matured together as a band. One of the commenters also stated that the drummer is kind of a beast, and you could hear a lot of that here. There's a lot of really cool polyrhythmic stuff going on. I mentioned at the beginning there's some really interesting cymbal work going on. I couldn't really hear all of it. There's a lot going on, and it's just like being smashed right into that very beginning of the song. But just for the speed that toms and snares were being played at, I can't even, like, I'm having a hard time picturing how the cymbals fit in with just two limbs, how they were fitting into that fast section. So yeah, I'm interested to see how the drummers evolved, because I think he specifically has a lot of potential as a technical drummer. But again, first album, I'd like to see something where he's matured a bit and it's not so much just speed and precision, but also a little bit more melodic ideas going on in the drum set. So yeah, overall though, I really dig this band. Even though I have a bit of criticism, it's mostly because uh, I think they could be better, or I say that, and really, I don't want to get flack for that. What I mean is, I think they're really close to what I personally like, and I think they could be almost on spot with my personal bias and preferences for this kind of music. So I'm sure there are some people who think this is their best album ever, and the rest of their stuff is junk. Um, there's everybody has different wants and needs out of music and art. So take what I say with a grain of salt. It's all opinion. I'm not saying that they're bad and they could be better. I'm saying that this is really close to my preference, but I could see with a little bit of musical maturity that they could be extremely on point and line up almost perfectly with what I enjoy out of metal or hard rock stuff. So, yeah, cool stuff. You guys can let me know in the comments what you guys thought. If I should be checking out anything else from them. I saw they had quite a few albums. So there's definitely a plethora of songs that we can pick from. You guys let me know what I should be listening to, though. And yeah, while you guys are down there, you can like, subscribe, and ring the bell. All three of those things help out the channel. My Twitter and Patreon links are in the description. And I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. ETC. Nope, 9 p.m. Dang, man. My brain's a little scrambled on that because I cannot think. UTC. There we go. 9 p.m. UTC. Yes, and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With my usual stuff, we're back on schedule, so that is fantastic. I'm so excited about that. I really enjoyed getting through all the stuff last week. Putting out 3 black metal songs in one day for Friday. I think that was Friday. Was I mean, there's some fun in just like back to back, really getting digging into a genre and understanding it. But it was a stressful week, and I'm glad to be back to these one videos a day and just kind of relaxing a bit and having this to be a channel for me to chill and check out new music rather than to kind of stress a little bit about schedules and stuff like that. So. Yeah, we're back on schedule. 5 p.m. I'll be back tomorrow to do more of this modern prog stuff. All right, so you guys stay safe out there. Have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.